Hey everyone, it's Taehyung. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you for being here with me today. I know there have been many questions, many rumors, and maybe even some worries. And honestly, I've felt all of it too. So I wanted to speak to you directly, with my own voice, my own heart, and my own truth. You've supported me through every chapter of my life, and I'm grateful in ways words can't fully explain. Whatever brought you here today, I hope you'll stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share is something I've held close for a long time. Let's talk slowly, honestly, together. I never imagined a single rumor could shake my entire world the way this one did. For years, I've lived with cameras following my every move, fans analyzing every detail of my life, and headlines created from moments that were never meant to be headlines. I've grown used to it at least. That's what I always told myself. But nothing about the last few weeks felt normal. Not the notifications flooding my phone, not the articles multiplying by the hour, and definitely not the way people kept whispering about someone who was never supposed to be dragged into the spotlight. My so called fiance. When the rumor first appeared, I laughed. I actually laughed. It was ridiculous, far fetched, completely disconnected from reality. But the internet doesn't need facts to keep a story alive, it just needs momentum. And somehow, this story had enough momentum to circle the globe in a single day. At first, I stayed silent because I thought it would fade. Silence usually kills the noise. But this time, it did the opposite. The more I said nothing, the louder the world became. People started making assumptions, creating theories, even identifying strangers on the street as Taehyung's secret fiance. It stopped being funny the moment innocent people were dragged in. And that's when I realized silence wasn't protecting anyone, it was hurting them. Tonight, I'm sitting alone in my private studio in Seoul. The lights are dim, just the way I like them. The air feels heavy, as if the room already knows what I'm about to do. My hands are resting on the table, calm on the outside but shaking on the inside. I keep replaying the last few days in my head, the messages from friends asking if I'm okay, the calls from my team, the worried voices of the people I care about most. And then there's her. She never asked for any of this. She never wanted the attention, the speculation, or the pressure that comes with being associated with me. She has her own life, her own dreams, her own world that had nothing to do with mine. Yet she became the center of everything overnight, simply because someone online decided to turn her into a character in a story. That's why I finally decided I had to speak. I open my phone and stare at the screen for a long moment. My name is trending everywhere. There are thousands of comments, some confused, some angry, some supportive, some downright heartbreaking. Army has always given me so much love, but tonight I know many of them are scared, disappointed, or overwhelmed. I understand them. They've been with me for so many years, they deserve clarity, not silence. I hit record. The small red light appears at the top of the screen, and suddenly the room feels even quieter. This video will reach millions of people. It will change the way they see me. It might change everything. But I remind myself why I'm doing this. Not for rumors, not for the media, but for the truth and for the people who never asked to be dragged into this. I take a breath. There's something I need to tell you. I begin, my voice lower than usual, and I want you to hear it directly from me, not from the news, not from the internet, not from anyone else. The words hang in the air. I pause, feeling the weight of the next sentence pressing against my chest. The rumors are true. Even saying it out loud feels surreal, like I've stepped outside myself. My heart beats faster, but my voice stays steady. I look straight into the camera, into the eyes of every person who will eventually watch this. Yes, I continue softly. The person you're talking about is someone important to me, someone I've known for a long time, someone who came into my life long before the world turned her name into a headline. I glanced down for a moment, trying to find the right words, words that explain without exposing too much. She didn't ask to be part of this. She didn't ask for the rumors or the attention or the pressure, but she's been stronger than I ever expected anyone to be in this situation. And I realized I couldn't let her face this alone while I stayed quiet. I lift my gaze again, steady this time. That's why I'm confirming it. Because it's the truth, and because keeping it a secret any longer would only make things worse. The confession sits heavy in my chest, but at the same time, it feels like air finally reaching my lungs. I've carried this for too long. I've let the world guess, judge, analyze, dissect every small detail, but not anymore. For those who are shocked, confused, or hurt, I understand. I say, I'm still the same Taehyung. I still love performing, I still love creating, and I will always be grateful to ARMY. But there are parts of my life that I've kept private for a reason. Tonight, I'm sharing this because it's time. Because I want to be honest. Because hiding it doesn't protect anyone anymore. I stop recording. For a long moment, I simply sit there, letting my heartbeat slow down. Whatever happens next, the reactions, the articles, the chaos will happen. But for the first time, I feel like I've taken control of my own story. After I stopped recording, I didn't move for a while. The silence in the room felt almost unreal, like everything around me was holding its breath. My phone screen stayed black, reflecting only the dim studio lights and my own expression, one that looked strangely calm for someone who had just revealed a life-changing truth to millions of people. I leaned back in my chair, running a hand through my hair. The confession kept replaying in my mind, every word echoing louder than the last. Part of me felt relieved, almost weightless, as if I had finally stepped out of a cage I didn't even know I was trapped in. But another part of me felt the creeping anxiety of what would come next. The world moves fast, especially when it comes to me. One video could shift everything: love, criticism, support, disappointment, chaos. I had no idea what the reaction would be. What I did know was that I couldn't take it back now. I stood up slowly and walked toward the window. Seoul's night view stretched out beneath me, glittering with thousands of lights, apartments, street lamps, office buildings that never slept. From this height, the city looked peaceful, but I knew what awaited me below: noise, questions, headlines, cameras pointed in every direction. I pressed my forehead lightly against the glass, letting the cold touch calm my thoughts. You did the right thing, I whispered to myself, almost as if I needed to hear it out loud. You had to. My phone buzzed again from the table behind me, a vibration I felt deep in my chest. I didn't rush to check it. I already knew it was beginning the comments, the calls, the messages from people who had seen the video within seconds of it going up. My team, my friends, maybe even the members, and of course her. The thought of her made my stomach tighten. She had always been someone who preferred quiet spaces, simple routines, and a life free from attention. She didn't chase fame or spotlight. She never cared about the world watching me or the pressure that came with it. Somehow, she kept me grounded, reminded me that I was still just me. And yet, because of me, she was thrown into something she didn't ask for. That was the part that hurt the most. I finally forced myself to walk back to the table. The phone vibrated again, then again, then again. Notifications were flooding in faster than I could even unlock the screen. I felt my heartbeat rise, but I steadied myself and tapped the screen. The first thing I saw was a message from her. Are you okay? Not a hint of fear, not a complaint, not a single word about herself, just concern for me. I exhaled slowly, feeling my chest soften. I typed back, I'm fine, I needed to do it. I'm sorry you are caught in this. The message delivered instantly. Three dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. She was choosing her words carefully, like always. Finally, her reply came in. I'm proud of you. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. I closed my eyes for a moment. Just reading those words felt like someone had placed a warm hand on my shoulder. She didn't deserve the rumors or the chaos, but she had a heart strong enough to stay by my side anyway. But that only made me more determined to protect her. My next messages were from the members. Jungkook had sent a string of shocked emojis followed by Hyung, did you just break the entire internet? I almost laughed. Namjoon's message was calmer. Call me when you can. We are with you. Yoongi's was even shorter. Proud of you? Jimin wrote a paragraph. He always did. Hyung, I know this wasn't easy. I know you've been stressed. I hope you finally feel lighter. We're here for you no matter what. Don't worry too much, okay? Let's talk. Hoseok sent hearts. Jin sent a dramatic, you chose Chas, but I support it. Even from the military, Seok-jin always knew how to make me smile. I sat down again, absorbing all the messages. I wasn't alone. I never had been. That thought gave me a sense of strength I didn't realize I'd been missing. But then the news alerts began. Dozens of headlines flashing one after another. Taehyung confirms fiancé rumors. Global superstars shocking revelation. ARMY reacts to Taehyung's personal announcement. It had begun, and there was no turning back now. I turned off the notifications, not because I wanted to avoid the world, but because I needed a moment, just one moment to breathe and gather myself before everything exploded. I stood up, stretched my arms, and walked around the studio slowly. The familiar scent of wood and paint filled the air. My canvases lined the walls, half-finished pieces that I had been working on quietly for months. Art had always been my escape, a place where I could lose myself in colors and shapes instead of noise and expectations. I picked up a brush and stared at one of the canvases, a portrait I had been working on for weeks. Soft outlines, incomplete shadows, a face taking shape but not fully visible yet. She had helped choose the colors. I dipped the brush into a dark shade and began adding small strokes. My hand moved almost unconsciously, each stroke helping silence the thoughts in my mind. Painting always helped me think, helped me process, helped me feel human. The world was reacting right now. I couldn't control any of it. But in this room, for a few minutes, I could breathe, I could exist without the noise. Still, I knew I couldn't hide here forever. My video was out. Questions were coming. Interviews would request statements. The company would want to discuss next steps. And army, they would want to understand. They deserve to understand. I rested the brush down and stepped back, observing the canvas. It wasn't finished, just like the story I had started tonight wasn't finished. There was still so much left to explain, so much to share, so much the world didn't know. Tonight was only the beginning, and tomorrow everything would change. The morning came faster than I expected. I barely slept, but somehow, when the first light of dawn spilled across the room, I felt calm. Not peaceful, but steady. As if something inside me had already accepted whatever the world was about to become. My phone had died overnight from the constant stream of notifications. I plugged it in reluctantly, knowing the moment it powered back on, the entire universe would come rushing at me again. While I waited, I walked into the kitchen and poured myself a cup of coffee. The air smelled warm, comforting, familiar. I needed that. When the phone finally lit up, the screen immediately flashed with thousands of alerts. I took a deep breath before unlocking it. Messages, emails, missed calls, everything came in waves. It was overwhelming, but I forced myself to focus. The first call was from my manager. Taehyung, are you awake? He asked the moment I answered. His voice sounded tense, but not angry, just worried. Yes, I said softly. The video, wow, it's everywhere. Every news outlet is covering it. We need to have a meeting today. The company wants to talk about the next steps. I understand. There was a short pause, then a sigh from the other side. We just want you to be okay. That made me smile faintly. I will be. After the call ended, I scrolled through the comments on my video. There were millions already. Some were crying, some were supportive, some were shocked, some confused, some hurt. I expected all of it, but what made me stop was a comment pinned by the algorithm. Whatever makes Taehyung happy, we'll accept it. He deserves love too. I stared at that sentence for a long moment. It felt like a warm hand reaching through the screen. There were still people who believed in me, trusted me, and loved me enough to accept the truth, even if it hurt. I placed the phone down and stepped outside to the balcony. The city was fully awake now, cars moving, people rushing to work, the sky slowly brightening. From here, the world seemed so normal, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But for me, everything was different. I found myself thinking about the first time she entered my life. It wasn't romantic or dramatic or anything close to the fairy tales people imagine. It was simple, natural. Two lives crossing in the most ordinary way. But sometimes, ordinary moments end up being the most important. She never treated me like a celebrity. She never acted impressed or intimidated. She talked to me like I was just another person, and maybe that's why I couldn't forget her. She grounded me. She reminded me of who I really was when everything around me was noise and pressure. And now the world knew about her even if they didn't know her name or face. I wondered if she was scared. I wondered if she was overwhelmed. I wondered if she regretted staying by my side. The thought made my chest tighten painfully. I sent her a message. How are you feeling this morning? The reply came quickly. It's overwhelming, but I'm okay. Don't worry about me too much. Of course, she said that. She always tried to protect me, even in situations where she was the one who needed protection. Before I could type a reply, she sent another message. Are you okay? I stared at her words again. So simple, yet so full of sincerity. I'm trying to be, I wrote back. I'm just worried about you. The three dots appeared again. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. That was all I needed to calm the storm inside me. I closed my phone and leaned on the balcony railing. My thoughts drifted to the meeting I had later. I knew the company would want explanations, strategies, statements, maybe even a press conference, depending on how things unfolded. I understood why they had to protect the brand, the members, the music, the fans. Everything we built over the years was delicate, and one move could shift the entire balance. But this time, I wasn't just an idol. I was a human being who made a choice to be honest. Eventually, I left the apartment and headed to the company building. The moment I entered the parking lot, I noticed more reporters than usual. Cameras pointed at every car that passed by. The guards had their hands full trying to control the situation. One of them recognized my vehicle and quickly guided me through a private entrance. I appreciated it. I wasn't ready to face flashing lights yet. Inside, the hallway felt colder than usual. The staff greeted me politely, but I could feel the curiosity behind their smiles. They weren't judging me, they were simply shocked, like the rest of the world. I greeted them back before heading into the conference room. My manager, a few executives, and PR representatives were already seated. When I walked in, everyone stood, bowing respectfully. I sat at the table, folding my hands politely. We watched your video, one of the executives began. First of all, thank you for informing us beforehand. I nodded. I had told them an hour before posting. Second, we need to discuss how to move forward. This is a very personal matter, but the impact is public. We want to support you, but we need to be strategic. I understand, I said. The PR director leaned forward. You didn't reveal her identity. That's good. It gives us time, but we need to ensure her safety. The media will try to find her. Fans will speculate. We have to be prepared. My chest tightened again. I knew this would happen, but hearing it out loud made it feel more real. We'll do everything we can, I replied firmly. But please, keep her out of this as much as possible. Everyone nodded. We will. But you need to be prepared for questions in your future schedules. Interviews, variety shows, press people will ask. I'll handle it, I said. The meeting continued for almost an hour. Strategies, plans, statements, security adjustments. I listened carefully, giving input when needed. It felt strange discussing my personal life like it was a project, but that was the reality of my world. My life wasn't just mine, it belonged to millions. When the meeting ended, I walked out feeling both exhausted and determined. The moment I stepped back into the hallway, I pulled out my phone again. I wanted to send her another message, just to check on her, just to feel her presence. Meeting's done, I'll call you soon. A few seconds later, I'll be waiting. Those words comforted me more than anything else that happened today. I exhaled slowly, letting the tension slip from my shoulders. This was only the beginning, but no matter what happened next, I wasn't facing it alone anymore. After leaving the company building, I didn't go straight home. Something inside me felt restless, like my thoughts were too loud to be trapped within four walls. Instead, I drove aimlessly through the city, letting the familiar streets blur past the window as I tried to make sense of everything. The sky was turning a soft shade of gold, the kind of warm light that made Seoul look gentler than usual. I rolled the window down slightly and let the cool air hit my face. It felt grounding real. After hours of meetings, strategies, and conversations that made my private life feel like a business plan, I needed something real. My phone buzzed again. I glanced at the screen. Are you done for the day? Her timing was always perfect, as if she could sense exactly when my thoughts started spiraling. I typed back, not yet, just driving a little. A few seconds later, do you want company? I stared at her message. My heart softened instantly. Normally, I would have said no, because it wasn't safe, because crowds might see, because the internet never sleeps. But today felt different. Today, I didn't want to be alone. Yes, I replied. Same place? I'll be there. I turned the wheel and headed toward the small park on the outskirts of the city, a place no one ever expected to see me, tucked away behind a row of old houses and quiet trees. We had gone there several times whenever we wanted a moment of calm, a moment that wasn't dictated by schedules, cameras, or unwanted attention. The sun was beginning to set when I arrived. I parked the car in the shade, then stepped out and pulled my hood over my head. Even though the area was quiet, caution had become second nature. A few minutes later, she arrived. She walked toward me with small, careful steps. Even from afar, I could see the worry written all over her face. When she reached me, she didn't say anything at first. She just looked at me with that expression she always had when she was trying to figure out if I was really okay. I took a breath. Hi, hi, she said softly. We both sat down on the empty bench near the edge of the park. The breeze brushed past us, carrying the scent of the nearby trees. For a moment, neither of us spoke. It wasn't an awkward silence, it was a calm one, the kind that felt like a shared breath. You didn't have to come, I said, even though I was grateful that she did. I wanted to see you, she replied. I know today must have been hard. I looked at her. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her hair was tied loosely, and she wore a simple sweater. Nothing about her screamed the kind of life people imagined for someone connected to me. She was just herself, normal, real. And because of that, I felt like I could breathe. It was a lot, I admitted. The company, the news, the reactions, everything. She nodded slowly, her eyes gentle. Are you regretting it? No. The answer came immediately, without hesitation. I'm not regretting telling the truth. I'm worried about you. She looked down at her hands, fidgeting with her fingers. I'm scared, she whispered. I won't lie about that. The attention, the rumors, the way people might treat me, it's overwhelming. My chest tightened. Hearing her say it out loud made it feel real in a way the headlines didn't. I turned toward her and gently took her hand. I'm so sorry, I said. I never wanted your life to be touched by this chaos. I tried to protect you for so long. She shook her head. You don't have to apologize. I chose to stay by your side. I knew what it meant. I just, I didn't expect it to happen this fast. I squeezed her hand lightly. I'm here and I'll keep protecting you. Whatever happens next, we face it together. I promise. She finally looked up at me, her eyes soft and searching. It's going to be hard, she said quietly. I know. There will be people who hate me. I'll shield you. There will be rumors. I'll handle them. There will be days when you'll feel like everything is too much. I looked straight into her eyes, steady and certain. On those days, I said, I'll remind you why we're here. She let out a small breath, almost a laughter mixed with relief. You always know what to say, only because it's the truth, I replied. She leaned her head on my shoulder and I closed my eyes, allowing myself to feel the warmth of her presence. For a moment, the world felt quiet again. Not perfect, not simple, but quiet enough for me to remember why I chose honesty over silence. As the sky faded into deeper shades of orange and blue, I realized something. Despite the chaos, the uncertainty, and the storm waiting for me tomorrow, this moment was worth everything. We stayed like that for a long time, watching the sun disappear behind the horizon. No words, no explanations, just two hearts beating in the same rhythm, grounding each other against the noise of the world. Eventually, she whispered, What happens next? I opened my eyes and looked at the darkening sky. Tomorrow, I said, the world will ask for more answers. And you? I took a deep breath. I'll give them what I can, I said softly, but I won't let them define us, not anymore. She nodded slowly, her hand still in mine. The night settled around us like a blanket, gentle yet uncertain. I could feel the weight of everything pressing against my chest as I walked back into my dressing room. The moment the door clicked shut behind me, the noise from outside dissolved into silence almost too quiet. My heartbeat was the only sound echoing in my ears, steady but heavy, like it was trying to remind me that I was still here, still grounded, still human despite everything spiraling around me. I leaned against the table and stared at my reflection in the mirror. The lights around the frame cast a glow across my face, making me look calm, too calm. My expression didn't match the storm inside me. My eyes looked steady, but they felt tired. My lips were neutral, but they trembled slightly when I exhaled. I tried to steady my breathing, but I could still hear the crowd outside chanting my name, waiting for answers they had no idea were so deeply personal. I let out a soft laugh, the kind that wasn't really a laugh at all, more like an exhale wrapped in disbelief. I whispered to myself, how did it come to this? I remembered the days when rumors were just noise tiny sparks that never meant anything. But now, They weren't sparks, they were wildfires. And I was standing in the center of all of it. I sat down, closing my eyes for a moment. I could still hear the host's voice echoing in my mind. Is it true? The rumor about your fiancé? That single question had landed like a stone thrown into a still pond, the ripples expanding far beyond what anyone could see. Maybe for a moment I had hesitated too long. Maybe my expression had revealed too much. Maybe I had already given the world the answer without meaning to. There was a knock on the door, gentle but firm. It was one of the staff members asking if I was okay. I told them I just needed a moment alone. They nodded and walked away, leaving me again with nothing but my thoughts. I pressed my palms together, resting my forehead against my fingers. I thought about her, the warmth of her presence, the softness of her smile, the way her eyes stayed kind even when the world wasn't. She had always understood my world better than anyone else ever had, even better than I sometimes understood myself. She didn't try to claim it, she didn't try to chase it, she just existed beside me, quietly, patiently, beautifully. And yet, the idea of the world knowing about her, about us, felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. One step forward could mean freedom, or it could mean falling. And I never wanted her to fall because of me. I touched the ring box again, the one I had kept in my jacket. It was a symbol of something pure and real, something the world had no right to distort. I opened it gently, even though I had already looked at it 100 times. The ring shimmered under the warm light of the dressing room, small but meaningful. It wasn't extravagant, it wasn't loud, it was just right, just like her. I wondered if today was the moment everything would change. Maybe my expression on that stage had already answered the question in a way words never could. Maybe the world would be talking about it for weeks, maybe months, maybe it would spark even more chaos. But maybe it would also lead to something honest. I took a deep breath and closed the box again, slipping it securely into my pocket. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I knew what I wanted, and that alone was enough to keep me steady. Another knock came, this time from my manager. Taehyung, they're asking if you want to address it. You don't have to, but the option is there. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I stood up slowly, my hand brushing the fabric of my jacket where the ring box was hidden inside. I walked toward the door, the floor beneath my feet feeling uneven, like each step carried more weight than it should. When I finally opened the door, my eyes met my manager's. He didn't push, he didn't ask. That was the thing I appreciated most. He always let me choose. After a moment of silence, I exhaled deeply and said something I never thought I would say out loud, especially not today. I think it's time. His eyes widened slightly, not out of shock, but out of realization. He nodded once, then stepped aside, as if making room for whatever I was about to do next. As I walked down the hallway, my footsteps echoing softly against the floor, I realized that this moment, this walk felt different. It wasn't the walk of an idol heading to rehearse. It wasn't the walk of someone preparing for another stage performance. It felt like I was walking toward a truth I had been protecting for far too long. I wasn't sure how I was going to say it. I wasn't sure how the world would react. But I knew one thing for certain. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of the truth. I was ready for it. I let my hand press lightly against the ring box again, the edges familiar beneath my fingers. And as I stepped closer to the door of the press room, I whispered beneath my breath, almost like a prayer, almost like a promise. Whatever happens next, I'll protect her. The sound of cameras clicking behind the door felt louder with each passing second. My heart beat faster, but not out of fear, out of certainty. Today was the day everything changed. If there's one thing I want you to remember from all of this, it's that my heart has room for many kinds of love. My love for music, my love for creating, my love for all of you who have walked beside me since the beginning. And yes, the love I have chosen for my own life, the one that's quietly grown behind the cameras and the stages, you don't lose anything because of that. Thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for giving me space to speak my truth. Thank you for staying. I don't know what tomorrow will look like. I don't know what stories will appear or how the world will react. But I do know this. I will continue to protect the people I love, and I will continue to walk forward with all of you beside me. Please rest well tonight. And remember, my heart is always with you. This is Taehyung. Thank you truly for everything